English grammar. If clauses and conditional sentences. There are four basic types of conditional sentences in the English language. Each type has two parts, the main clause and the if clause. Zero conditional. I take my umbrella if it rains. First conditional. I'll call you if I work late. Second conditional. If the bus didn't arrive on time, I would drive you to the airport. Third conditional. She wouldn't have come if I hadn't invited her. Example 1. Lisa. Shall we go by bus or by train? Jess. If we go by bus, it will be cheaper. For Jess, it is possible to go by bus. Example 2. Later, Jess talks to Joe. Joe. How are you going to travel? Jess. We're going by train. If we went by bus, it would be cheaper, but the train is quicker. Now Jess knows they are not going to travel by bus. Explanation 1. When we imagine that something can happen, we use if plus present, will, going to. Explanation 2. When we imagine that something will not happen, or we don't expect to happen, we use if plus past, would, could plus infinitive. Examples for things that are possible to happen. If it doesn't rain, I will go outside. If I win the money, I will buy a car. If you find my wallet, can you call me? Examples for things that are unlikely to happen. If I was an electrician, I could repair the lighting myself. If I went now, I could still catch the train. If had the time, I would go to the concert. If I do, and if I did. 4. Don't use would, could, should in the if part. I would be very scared if somebody pointed a gun at me. Not would point. If we went by bus, it would be cheaper. Not if we would go. But you can use if, would when asking someone to do something. I would be grateful if you would let me know as soon as possible. If I knew. I wish I knew. The verbs know and wish express a hypothetical situation, so things we don't expect to happen. If I knew her number, I would call her. If I knew what to do, I would do it. I wish I were taller. Equals if I was taller, that would be nice. I wish I were rich. Equals if I was rich, I could buy a house. I wish I could help you. Equals I wish I was able to help you. We use if plus d, had plus past participle, would, could plus have plus past participle to talk about hypothetical situations in the past. I didn't see you when I passed you in the street. If I had seen you, I would have said hello. I didn't go out last night. I would have gone out if I hadn't been so tired. If he had been looking where he was going, he wouldn't have taken some pictures. But I didn't have a camera. If I had known. I wish I had known. 3. Compare. I am not hungry. If I was hungry, I would eat something. I was not hungry. If I had been hungry, I would have eaten something. Important. Note that D can be would or had. If I'd seen you. I'd seen equals I had seen. I'd have said hello. I'd have said equals I would have said. Summary. Conditionals, examples. Zero conditional. The zero conditional describes situations that are always true. If has the same meaning as when or whenever. If I go to school, I get up at 7. Whenever I go to school, I get up at the same time. If you park your car on double yellow lines, you pay a fine. Whenever you park illegally, you pay a fine. We use the present simple tense in both the main clause and the if clause. First conditional. The first conditional refers to the present or future. First conditional sentences are used to speculate about possible situations that can really happen. If he studies hard, he'll pass the exams. If we catch the 10:15 train, we will arrive on time. If you don't get the ticket, what will you do? We use the present tense in the if clause and will plus bare infinitive in the main clause. Second conditional. The second conditional also refers to the present or future. In second conditional sentences we speculate about situations that will probably never happen. If I had more time, I would help you. But I am not free at the moment. I can't help you. If I won $1 million, I would start a business of my own. But I know that it is not realistic. We use the past tense in the if clause and would plus bare infinitive in the main clause. Note: the verb to be can have a specific form in the if clause. If I were rich, I wouldn't work. If he were younger, he would marry her. But was is also possible. If I was rich, I wouldn't work. If he was younger, he would marry her. But, if I were you, I wouldn't do it. In this expression, were is much more usual than was. Other forms apart from the basic forms, if plus the present simple plus will and if plus the past simple plus would, we can use other verb forms in the first and second conditional sentences in the English language. Type 1. If you have finished your dinner, you can ask for the bill. If you are feeling tired, take a rest. If he is a good skier, he might make it. If you want to be slim, you should eat less. If you meet her, could you let me know? Type 2. If I knew his address, I might go and see him. If we were on holiday, we would be lying on a beach now. Why are we watching this film? If we were watching the news, it would be more interesting. Third conditional. The third conditional sentences always refer to the past. We speculate about situations that happened or did not happen in the past. If I had won $1 million, I would have started a business of my own. But I didn't win anything. If he had met her, he would have told her. Unfortunately, he didn't meet her. If we hadn't practiced, we wouldn't have won the match. But we practiced and won. We use the past perfect in the if clause and perfect infinitive, have plus past participle, in the main clause. Other forms apart from the basic form of the third conditional sentences, we can use other verb forms in English. We didn't save any money. If we had saved some money, we might have bought the house. She wasn't there and I wasn't sitting next to her. But if she had been there, I would have been sitting next to her. I was looking at the trees when I fell off the bike. If I hadn't been looking at the trees, I wouldn't have fallen off the bike. Mixed conditionals. In the mixed conditional sentences we can combine the second and third conditional. If he had left immediately, he would be here now. He didn't leave immediately and isn't here. If I had studied hard when I was young, I wouldn't be a porter now. I didn't study and I am a porter. If we hadn't told him the way while he was preparing for his journey, he would get lost now. We told him and he isn't lost. Inverted conditionals. We can also make conditional sentences by changing the word order in the if clause. Had he booked the hotel room, he wouldn't have slept at the camp. If he had booked. Were I in your position, I would accept it. If I were. This form is less common, quite formal and is mostly used in writing. Here are some examples on the slide. This table would help as a trick to apply conditionals perfectly in your content. Happy learning. Thanks for listening till the end.